everyone. So we are at part 2 of your section B marathon session. We had completed 5 case studies yesterday. Let's do 5 more today. Okay, let's do 5 more. Yep, so as I was discussing that now let's go for the questions. We did 5 case studies yesterday wherein I am trying to cover different topics for your different case studies. First case study that I covered was life cycle costing. Then I covered one on not target costing. I think one we covered on transfer pricing, one we covered on the variances, right? And like this we covered multiple topics yesterday. Let's have 5 more different topics covered today. So be with me, guys. Now we have done case study 1, case study 2. So these are the 10 case studies that I picked from your past papers. Okay, so they have been tested in your exam. In fact, 2 of the case studies here are taken from your pre-March mock. Okay, so 2 case studies from pre-March mock, rest 8 case studies from the 8 different papers in the past. So these are the kind of level of questions that you'll be tested on in the exam, right? So let's ensure that you guys are ready for this game. Okay? Yeah, Revati. So I'm taking the first one. Yeah, I'm taking the first case study, which is a pre-March mock case study. It is case study this number 4. Okay, so it's a very good case study, and it's a case study on focusing more on target costing and all these matters. Now, Revati, even you can communicate it with me through the chat box option, which is there. Okay, you can communicate here as well. Okay, now please look at the screen. So Cam Company manufactures webcams devices which can provide live video and audio streams via the personal computers. It has recently been suffering from liquidity problems and hopes that these will be eased by the launch of its new webcam. Yeah, so now let's proceed here. It has recently been suffering from liquidity problems and hopes that these will be eased by the launch of its new webcam, which has revolutionary audio, sound, and visual quality. The webcam is expected to have a product life cycle of 2 years, and market research has already been carried out to establish a target selling price and a projected lifetime sales volume for the product. Cost estimates have been prepared based on the current proposed product specifications. You are provided with the following relevant information for the webcam. So the detail is given to you. Again, like I've told you in yesterday's session also, we are not going to read the figures right now. With the parallel solving of questions, that time we read it. The company needs to close the cost gap between the target cost and the estimated lifetime cost using the following relevant information. Direct material cost, direct labor cost information is given to you. Now let's go to the first question, which is what is the cost gap? So let's calculate the cost gap. For this, I need the target selling price, which is 200. Target markup is 35%. So what is the target cost? It is 200 and markup is on cost. So target cost will be 200 multiplied by, I need 100 divided by 135 because 35% is the margin. Let's do the calculations. So target cost is 200 multiplied by 100 by 135, which is 148. Okay, we are done with this. Now let's go to the next one. So now we have what was the question? What is the cost gap? So what is the actual cost? Let's calculate it. Okay, we need to calculate the actual cost. Actual cost is given to you 160. So what is the target cost gap, or the cost gap is the difference between the two. So which is going to be 160, and actually it was in decimals, sorry, 200 multiplied by 100 by 135. That is 148.15. So when you reduce from it 160, you get a cost gap of 11.85. Right? So this is my answer, 11.85. Easy, very easy. Yeah, let's go to the next one. So now the next one is Based on new relevant information, what is new direct material cost of the webcam? Okay, what is new direct material cost of the webcam? Let's calculate the new cost. So we have to look into this paragraph. Now, direct material cost, all of the parts currently proposed for the webcam are bespoke parts. Okay, however, most of these can actually be replaced with standard parts which are costing 55% less. Almost a similar question to it with a similar kind of a working we did yesterday also. However, three of the bespoke parts, which currently account for 20% of the estimated direct material cost, cannot be replaced. So that means 20%. So the total material cost is 40. When I calculate here, 40 multiplied by 20%, which is 8. This cannot be replaced. Okay. Now the next one. Although an alternative supplier charging 10% less can be asked. Okay, so this, let's multiply this with 90%. So how much will I get when I multiply this with 90%? Because this cannot be replaced, but then it can be costing 10% less. So 40 multiplied by 20% multiplied by 90%, I get 7.2. Right? So this is 7.2, the first part. Now, when we do the second part calculation, this was only for 20%. Now we need to look into 80%. What is about the 80% given to you? Most of these can be replaced with standard parts costing 55% less. That means they would only be costing 45%, right? So here I will multiply this with 45%. Right, so how much will I get? 40 multiplied by 80% multiplied by 45%. I get 14.4. So what is the total material cost? 14.4 plus 7.2. That will be equal to 21.6. Done? 21.6. Okay, let's go to the next one. And it says to two decimal places. We just have one decimal place. So if you want to, I'll put 0. Now let's go to the third one. What is the labor cost for the 100th unit? That means what we have to apply here, learning curve, right? We have to apply learning curve. So that means first calculate the total time to make 100 units, then 99 units, reduce it and get the 100th unit. Okay, so simply let's do it. So what is the total time for 100 units? That will be 100 multiplied by ax to the power b. Now for labor, let's see which is the time taken by the first unit. The direct labor cost. Webcam uses 45 minutes of direct labor which costs 30 per hour. The use of more standard parts, however, will mean that while the first unit would still be expected to take 45 minutes, that means we will have this in minutes. Okay, remember that you have to convert it into hour later on as the cost is in hour. There will now be an expected rate of learning 90%. B is already given to you. This will end after the first 100 units are completed. That means what is the time taken for 100 units will be stagnant for all the units made after it. So A is 45 minutes multiplied by X is 100 to the power B. B is given as minus 0.152. Again, people, if you want to know how to use the on-screen scientific calculator, like this is the only topic where you'll be requiring the scientific calculator. So when I gave my PM exam, I used the on-screen calculator rather than carrying two calculators. For that, I've uploaded a shorts video on my Instagram as well as on my YouTube. You can easily access that, how to use the on-screen scientific calculator, and just a very simple way to use it online on using the CBE platform. Okay, now let's solve it. So when you solve this, I have scientific calculator with me. So I think this will make me help solve it very easy. So 100 to the power minus 0.152 and multiplied by 45 and multiplied by 100. I get the answer as 2234.67 minutes. Now, what is the total time for 99 units? Same working, just with 99. Okay, now when you solve this, likewise, I'll just replace it 99. Okay. Uh, so now I get here 2215.70. Okay, 2215.70 minutes. Done. Now get the difference. And then the difference and divide by 60 to get it in hours. So time taken by 100th unit is 2234.67 less 2215.70. Okay, this divided by 60, and if you want to take the cost, so that time you will multiply with the cost, which is 30 per hour. I think we'll just cross check. Okay, let's take the difference. So 2234.67 less 2215.7 divided by 60. I get, what is so less hours? Very less. 0.3162 hours. So cost will be equal to 0.3162 multiplied by, what is the cost per hour? I think it's 30. Okay, let's multiply it with 30. So I get here 9.485 is the total time, the total cost to make the 100th unit. Now let's see if we have this option or not. Yes, we have 9.4. Easy, we just applied the normal work learning curve, nothing else. Okay, let's do the next one. The new direct labor cost per unit has been based on an expected learning rate of 90%. But now the finance director has realized that the 92% learning rate should be applied. Okay. So the learning rate will still end after the 100th unit. Which of the following statement is correct? Which of the following statement is correct? The target cost will decrease. Target cost, no, learning will not make any effect on the target cost. So target cost will remain same. Just that if your learning rate increases, then your cost gap will increase. Because your cost will be more, so your cost gap will increase. Right? Right, so here your target cost will remain same, but the cost gap will increase. This would be the correct answer, because you can see your learning rate has increased. And the learning, see, when your learning rate increases, which means what? That you are taking, yeah, you are taking more time. Just a minute. My learning rate is 90%. That means first unit took 100 units. Second unit will take 90 minutes. Third unit will take 81 minutes. If my learning rate is 92%, then first unit will take 100 minutes. Second unit will take 92 minutes. Third unit will take 92 into 92%, which is 84 minutes. You can say more time is being taken. More time means more cost. More cost means your cost gap will increase. Okay, guys, I think the fifth part that I had discussed went on mute mode, so I have removed that portion. Now let's quickly discuss the fifth part. We've done with the fourth part. I hope I'm clear. I explained it here. When the 90% learning curve, your time for the first unit is 90 minutes, 100, then 90, then 81, right? That is a doubling units. The time will reduce. Here also 100, 92 and 84. You can see that when the learning rate is increasing, is actually taking more time to do it, right? The cumulative average time is in fact increasing, and so your cost gap will definitely increase. As your actual cost will increase, so your cost gap will also increase. Okay, now question number fifth, let's discuss this. Which of the following statements about a market skimming price strategy are true? Understand, whenever we talk about market skimming, please remember Apple, and when we talk about penetration, please remember the Geo example. Because Apple, when enters the market, it focuses on keeping the price high. As the demand is really inelastic to this price increase, they would still buy the products even if the price is too high, right? And so they are not focusing on more on quantities but more on the profit making, that making through their price increase. While the products like Geo, they focus on increasing their profitabilities by the number of units, so they do a penetration into the market. Clear? Now first is, it attempts to exploit a market that is relatively insensitive to the price change. Exactly what I told you about Apple, to discourage new entrants into the market. No, that is a policy for a price, for market penetration. Where products have a short life cycle, definitely Apple is the prominent example for the same. And there are significant economies of scale. No, that is there with the penetration policy. Hence, 1 and 3 options are correct. Done. Let's go to case study number 7. Because we had completed till 6 case study yesterday. Now, when I discussed case study 7, in fact, I also had started and then I realized that it was a mute mode. But anyways, let's complete it now. So now Sweet Treat Bakery makes 3 types of cakes: brownies, muffins and cupcakes. The cost, revenues and demand for each of these 3 cakes are given to you for brownies, muffins and cupcakes. Batch size, selling price, material cost, labor cost, overhead, minimum demand. When we look at the plan, that time this minimum demand needs to be met, right? And the maximum demand and the maximum demand maximum. I've divided by the number of units because that is the batch size. Batch size, that is number of units to make one batch, right? What is the units to make one batch? So here we have worked out what is the total number of batches. Okay, total of this question you will require batches, as we had read further. Minimum daily demand is required for a long-term contract with a local coefficient must be met. So minimum daily demand, when you prepare the production plan, this needs to be met first. The cakes are made in batches, so that is why we need batches, using 3 sequential processes: weighing, mixing and baking. The products must be produced in their batch sizes but are sold as individual units. Each batch of cakes requires the following amount of time for each processes. Weighing, mixing and baking, the time is given to you for each of the 3 category of cakes. Now baking up stage of the process is done in 3 ovens which can each be used for 8 hours a day, total 24 hours, 8 into 3. So that is how we got 1440 minutes. 24 into 60 is 1440 minutes. This is how you have got. Ovens have a capacity of 1 batch per bake, so we need the number of batches. Right? Now, Sweet Treats Bakery uses throughput accounting and considers all cost other than material to be factory cost, of course. Now, let's see the first one. Okay, that I started to solve also. On Monday, in addition to the baking ovens, Sweet Treats Bakery has the following process resources available. So, the total time available is 240 for weighing, 180 for mixing, and 1440 that we had seen for baking. Now, a brownie will take how much time? You can see there are 4 batches for brownies, 3 batches for muffins, and 5 batches for cupcakes. Okay, now accordingly, let's take. So, one batch take 15 minutes for brownies for weighing. So, for 4 batches, multiply with 4. Why 4? Because 3.5 will not be done, right? You will do a complete batch, either first 1 batch, 2 batch, 3 batch. So, here, since it is more than 3, we'll take 4 batches. Then mixing, then baking. Okay, accordingly, when you multiply it, you will get here, these are the respective times in minutes. Now let's take the total just to see which one is the bottleneck. So 16 to 45, 60 plus 45 is 145, plus 100 is 245. Then 80 plus 108 is, wait a minute, 60 plus 45 plus 100, 100, 200, no, I'm sorry, very bad maths. I have to use calculators. 205 minutes. 80 plus 48 plus 60 is 188 minutes. Then 480 plus 330 plus 600 is 1410 minutes. Now just see which is the bottleneck. This one, clearly it is more. So therefore this is my bottleneck. So the answer here would be mixing. Mixing is the bottleneck. Clear? Okay, now let's look at the next one. On Wednesday, the mixing process is identified as a bottleneck. Oh God. So if we would have seen the next question, my answer was there only. On this day, only 120 minutes of mixing are available. Only 120 minutes. Assuming that Sweet Tates Bakery wants to maximize the profit, what is the optimal production plan that they should have? Now we just have 120 minutes of mixing. So what we will do, just the way that we do throughput per unit, throughput per mixing time, and rank them, and first meet the minimum demands and then you will take the maximum. Okay, that is how we will do. So I will write here brownies, muffins, cupcakes. What is the throughput per unit? Throughput per unit, let's quickly work it out here. Selling price less material cost, selling price less material cost. So here your throughput is 1.25. Here your throughput is this is per unit, but we will take throughput per batch. Wait. Here throughput per unit is 1.4 less 0.5. Here throughput per unit is 1.4 less 0.1. 1 point, no, it is, I'm not doing less also. 1.4 less, oh, 1.4 less 0.15. 1.25. Here also 1.25. And I did this correct now. 1.5 less 0.25. 1.25. And then 2 less 0.25. 1.75. Okay, now this is per unit, but we are doing everything in batches. One batch has 40 units here, here 30 units, here 20. Multiply it and get the throughput per batch. Okay, we will do throughput per batch because we have everything per batch. So your throughput per batch will be 1.25 multiplied by 40, that is 50. Okay, for mixing it will be 1.25 multiplied by 30, that is 37.5, and here it will be 1.75 multiplied by 20, that's 35. So I'll take 37.5 and 35. Clear? Now I will take the mixing minutes because that's the bottleneck. Okay, the mixing minutes required per batch are 20, 16 and 12. Now throughput per mixing minutes. Divided 50 divided by 20, 2.5. 37.5 divided by 16, 2.34. 35 divided by 12, 2.92. Okay, now do the ranking. So here we get the maximum throughput. This is number 2 and this is number 3. Okay, but first we have to meet the minimum demand and then only I can take it as per the rank. So let's see the production plan. So let's take brownie, mixing and baking. No, brownie, muffins and cupcakes. We require minimum units how much? 30, 20 and 10. right? We need 30, 20 and 10. That means will we make only one batch? 30, 20 and 10, right? Only one batch. Because if you look here, 30 in batch, one batch we have 40 units. So we will make one batch here. 20 is what we need minimum. Batch is 30. Again, we'll make one batch here. 10 is minimum. But but one batch requires 20. So again here we'll make one batch. So for this, I will make one batch, one batch, one batch. Clear? One batch, one batch, one batch. Now, so one batch means how many cakes we will be making? So we'll be making 40, 30 and 20, right? 40, 30 and 20. But one batch requires how much time? So I can write here time. Time of mixing minutes. One batch will require mixing minutes 20, 16 and 12. Right? 20, 16 and 12 we have got here. Okay. The question is only asking for the plan. We don't need values. So we will make one batch here. And one batch will means how many quantities? Because ultimately we'll see answer is in quantities. Yeah, so that means 40, 30 and 20. 40, 30 and 20. This is muffin, this is brownie, this is cup. Okay, next we have still more time because we have total 120 minutes. So now the rank 1 is cupcakes. We'll make cupcakes in full. How many units of cupcakes can be made? What is the maximum demand? 105 batches, right? 105 batches. Out of 120 we have already taken, so now remaining is 80. 80 means 4 batches. And every batch requires 12 minutes, so 48 minutes, right? This is cupcakes. Now next we will take muffins. No, next I will take brownie, that is rank number 2. And what is the maximum demand for brownies? 140. That is around 4 batches. One batch we've already made, so we can make the remaining 2. But what is the time available? Let's check that. 20 plus 16 plus 12 plus 48. 96 minutes have already gone. We just have 120 minutes. That means we can only give 24 minutes more. Okay, yeah, we can only give 24 minutes more. Yeah, so how much we can process here? In one batch requires, see, one batch requires 40 units. And for one batch, we can use 20 minutes. So even if I have 24 minutes, I can only use 20 minutes, right? Because we will process it as per the batch. So even though I have 20 minutes, but I will only use 24 minutes and 116 minutes only we will use. Why? Because I cannot use 4 minutes more. No, either you require 20 minutes or you require 0 minutes. You can only process the entire batch together. 20 units means how many units we can, 20 minutes means that how many batches we can make? We can only make one batch, and one batch is of 40 brownies. Okay, so one batch which is of 40 brownies. Done. Now just get the total. So how much brownies we are having? 40 plus 40, 80. 80 brownies is only the first option. Even I don't read it further. I know it is correct, but let's cross check. So brownies are 80, muffins will be 30, and cupcakes will be 100, which is my first answer. Done? Yeah, it was a good part. Okay, now let's do question number 3. Sweet Eats Bakery has done a detailed review of its product cost and processes. Which two of the following statements will improve the TPAR? Remember TPAR. So that is return is numerator and the cost is denominator. We will take efforts to make sure that the numerator increases and the denominator decreases. Okay. Okay, let's look at the screen now. So the cafe customer wants to negotiate a loyalty discount. This discount will reduce my return. So therefore wrong. A bulk discount on flour and sugar is available from suppliers. Very good, because this is relating to materials. So if my material reduces, my throughput increases. If my throughput increases, my overall profitability increases. Clear? Okay. There is an additional demand for the cupcakes in the market. There is an additional demand for the cupcakes in the market, even if we have more demand, but it won't really matter because my bottleneck resource is still mixing. So only when it gets elevated, only then it will give me any extra throughput. The rent of the premises has reduced. Very good. So if your rent reduces, your cost reduces, the denominator reduces, so your return will improve. So this is also wrong. B and D are the correct answers. Now, on Friday, due to a local food festival at the weekend, Sweet Treats Bakery is considering increasing its production of cupcakes. These cupcakes can be sold at the festival at the existing selling price. The company has unlimited capacity for weighing and mixing on Friday, but its existing three ovens are already fully utilized. Okay. Therefore, in order to supply cupcakes to the festival, Sweet Treats Bakery will need to hire another identical oven at $45 per day. How much will profit increase if the company hires the new oven and produces as many cupcakes as possible? Okay, as many cupcakes as possible. Uh, and if you look here, this was said that the time available for them is 8 hours for each oven. An oven has a capacity of one batch per bake, and they are baking cupcakes for 120 minutes. That means in 120 minutes, in 2 hours, they will make one cupcake only, right? One batch of cupcakes. So that means in 2 hours they are making one batch. So and the total time available is 8 hours. So in a day they can maximum make 8 divided by 2, 4 batches of the cupcakes, right? 4 batches is what they will make maximum. 4 batches, and it is saying that it will be available at a cost of 45. Okay, but we'll add that. But 4 batches can maximum be made, and we had calculated the contribution right at one point. Yeah, and throughput per batch is 35. So what is the maximum return that we can have here? 4 batches multiplied by 35, which is the throughput per batch. So total we can have a maximum return of 35 into 4, 140. And we will reduce the higher cost of 45. So 95 is the maximum profit that your profit can increase by. Maximum it will increase by 45. Clear? Right? Okay, let's go to the next one. Fifth one. In a previous week, the weighing process was the bottleneck, and the resulting throughput accounting ratio was 1.45. Okay, this is just a pointer given to you that the throughput accounting ratio was 1.45. Indicate by clicking on the relevant boxes in the table below whether each of the following statements about the TPAR for the previous week are true or not. The bakery's operating cost exceeds the total throughput accounting ratio. No, it doesn't exceed because it is 1.45. That means the return is more. Less idle time in the mixing department would have improved the TPAR. No, because we are calculating it per bottleneck resource. So as it is, we are taking the effect of bottleneck resources, right? So I don't think the would not improve the TPAR. No, idle time in the less idle time in the mixing department will be there. So if there is less idle time in the mixing department, but we know the standard time to make the batches, so that is not changing, right? Hence, it will really not impact the TPAR. Improved efficiency. Whenever the efficiency increases, even when I don't read it, I know it is correct. Because efficiency increasing means that you are doing the work more quickly and weighing process would have improved the TPAR. If there is an efficiency increase in the weighing process, that would improve the TPAR. Let's see. Which is the bottleneck resource? Okay, now why would C be the correct answer? C would be the correct answer as in this question it highlights that weighing process is the bottleneck. So any elevation of the bottleneck that we do will improve the process. Since weighing process is the bottleneck, therefore elevation of it will improve. In the last question, mixing was the bottleneck. So if we would have improved the mixing time, like here idle time, then it would have been the correct answer. But since in this part, the question specifically says that weighing process is the bottleneck, hence elevating the weighing process will give us the better results. Clear? Okay, done. Now, out of these remaining three case studies, two you will be trying because I think by now I have covered 7 case studies. Now you know the approach to do the questions, right? But I have given you all 10 case studies from 10 different scenarios. I'll tell you which two you will be doing and which one now last I will be doing it. Yeah, this one you can do it. It's on the balance scorecard and very, very good case study. It is from a past paper, I think 2014 or 15 paper it is. Very good case study. Please do it. It's on the perspective, so that would give you a complete detailed understanding of the perspectives. Yeah, this one also you can do. It's a very good, comfortable case study on ROI and RI. I've seen students to always being stuck with this, or I think better I will do them. I'm sorry for this, but then I think I will do it only because I've seen students stuck in ROI and RI or balance scorecard. So I think it will be clarity if I do it. Okay, let's discuss this. Jameer is one of a growing number of low-cost airlines in the country of Shania. Jameer's strategies is to operate as a low-cost, high-efficiency airline. Low-cost, high-efficiency. The airline was given an on-time arrival ranking of 7th best by the country's aviation authority, which ranks all 50 of the country's airlines based on the number of flights which arrive on time at their destinations. The average ground turnaround time for airline in Shania is 50 minutes, meaning that an average planes are on the ground for cleaning, refueling, etc. for 50 minutes before departing again. The number of passengers carried by the airline has grown from 300,000 passengers on a total of 3428 flights in 2007 to 9,20,000 passengers, almost 3 times, when your flights have not actually increased by 3 times, but passengers have increased by 3 times in 2013. Okay. Okay, now the overall growth of the airline has been helped by the limited route licensing policy of the Shania government, which has given Jameel almost monopoly status on some of its routes. Okay, so it has also received limited route licensing policy. Okay, however, the government is now set to change this policy with almost immediate effect, and it has now become more important than ever to monitor performance effectively because now almost everybody will come together in a sector and no airline will get the advantage. Okay, which of the following words is missing from the above statement? The dash perspective. Which perspective do you think will consider whether the management in Jamaica meets the expectation of the shareholders? How it creates value. So which perspective looks for shareholders value? Financial. Very good. I think when I was explaining you, that time only I made you understand this. Okay, next. The following performance measure has been suggested by Jameer. Improve on the on-time arrival ranking. You have to improve on the on-time arrival ranking of the 7th best in the country's aviation authority ratings. To which perspective does this measure belong? Who will really be affected by the on-time arrival? Customers. So which perspective? Customer. Easy. Next one. The following performance business has been suggested for Jamel. What is the following performance objective? Improve the turnaround time. Turnaround time is more of an internal internal business, right? It's more for internal processes. So turnaround time will be internal business perspective. We just have to look at the terms, that's all. How easy it is, the same way. The following performance objective has been suggested for Jameer. Increase seat revenue per plan, seat revenue per plane, sorry. So you have to increase the seat revenue. Where there is revenue, we only talk about finances, right? So it's financial. So don't think that we had covered financial. I tell you, this was one of the approach for one of the students. They thought that all four questions will have four different perspectives. So here they chose innovative. But there is no reason for it to be like that. So yes, it was a financial perspective only. Now, are the following statements about Jameer's measurement systems, they are true or false? Okay, let's discuss it here. When performance is not quantified, it is difficult to find a target and monitor. Absolutely correct. Because whenever I want to know, like when how a company is performing, I need the details, not just non-financial performance measures, but we need financial numbers for it. Jameer is more likely to have a reliable and comprehensive system for collecting data about qualitative aspects of the performance than a well-established system for measuring quantitative data. False. Always it is going to be more reliable source for measuring quantitative data than qualitative. So therefore it is false. Very difficult to correct the quantitative data. Done with the case study on balance scorecard. Let's do on ROI and RI. Okay, so I have taken 10 different topics for 10 different case studies. Now after this we will do a case study on ABC. Okay, very important. The following scenario relates to the next five questions. Let's discuss them. An investment center in Apple generates a profit of 24,000. You have been given the following additional information. Working capital, non-current asset at cost, accumulated depreciation. So the net working capital is 60,000. Okay. What is the ROI for the investment center? Very easy, I think. The ROI would be 80,000. The total is 80,000 is the capital employed. Profit is 24,000 multiplied by 100. So you will get here 24 by 80 30%. Okay, let's go to the next one. An investment in a non-current asset could be made which would result in a capital employed figure of 100,000. The investment would result in a new profit figure for 35,000. If the investment is made, what would be the residual income for the investment center? The cost of capital is 12%. You just have to calculate the residual income. That means the total profits that we have, like here in this case, is 35,000. So, okay, so out of the total profits that we have, 35,000, you just reduce the cost of capital for the investment. I am not doing it for the entire investments added together because this data is not asking you that, right? Now 35,000 less, 100,000 is the capital employed, cost of capital is 12%, reduce it. So 35 minus 12 is 23,000. Since residual income is positive, we will accept this investment. It goes like this. Okay. Now the next one. Question number 3. Are the following statements about the use of different performance measures in Apple company, are they true or false? Now the residual income is more flexible since a different cost of capital can be applied to investments with different characteristics. Absolutely correct. It is more flexible. Residual income does not facilitate comparisons. Absolutely correct, because it is in absolute values and it is not in percentage form. So it is absolutely correct. Great. Okay, now the fourth one. Apple company operates a transfer pricing system because between two divisions based on market price. Are the following statements about this true or false? Let's see. The market price acts as an incentive to use up any spare capacity. No, no. For selling division, for spare capacity, we will never use market price. We use variable cost. Remember, under the market price on the transfer price, as the transfer price encourages using the market price as the transfer price, encourages selling and buying divisions which appear to be in the best interest of division's performance. Yeah, that's correct. This leads to the company as a whole achieving optimal results as each division optimizes its performance. Well, actually, uh, It is correct because it will be in the best interest of the division, and I think the divisions will also be ready to buy and sell it. Yeah, so this can be true. Mm. Yeah, Apple company has two divisions which are set to begin buying and selling a product between themselves. It has been suggested that a cost-based approach to transfer pricing be used. What is that approach? A cost-based approach is suitable for company in this scenario if there are no external market for the product that is being transferred. Of course, if there are no external market, then we don't really have a market price, and then it makes sense to use a cost-based approach. A cost-based approach is suitable for Apple company in this scenario if an imperfect market exists. Okay, guys, what is imperfect market? I hope you're clear for it. So, imperfect market is a market where, and not every buyer is dealing in the same way. So, you don't have really a very effective market price available. That means it is not that all the shoppers in the same community will be having the similar kind of pricing. No, okay, because imperfect market would probably mean that there is less of this competition. Okay, and the product is that kind of a product which is generally not a very a competitive product which is available in the perfect market. So therefore we say it's an imperfect market, and accordingly we will have not a similar pricing available. Okay, I think like, yeah, one of the best examples that I think I can give you is yes, like the different cable network services which are available. For example, in my area I have Dish TV, I have Tata Sky, I have Reliance, I have Airtel, I have many other the cable providing services, or the TV satellite providing services. But everybody is charging a different rate because they are providing a different kind of a service, even though everybody is providing in the cable services only, right? So it is that kind of a pricing. So there, of course, market price will not matter because not there is not a very standardized market price that we have available. So obviously, cost plus approach will be a better approach. Okay, clear? Now let's go to the last case study. Last case study is basically on the ABC methodologies. So let's have this. It's a very good case study. Again, a past paper. I think it's a very recent one. 2023 case study only I'm picking up. Okay, I picked up. Now please look here. The Raste company manufactures three types of guitars in one of its divisions: jazz, rock, and classic. Raste company currently operates a costing system which uses a single overhead rate, that is the absorption costing, right? Single overhead rate based on revenue to charge overhead cost to the guitar. The finance director is suggesting to change to ABC. The following information has been collected in the manufacture about the manufacture of the components: jazz, rock, and classic. Selling price, prime cost, these are all given to you. Prime cost is a direct cost, that is your variable cost. Okay, processing time, quality inspection time, everything, and the overheads are also given to you. So the total overheads are 4810 plus 120540 plus 643100. So that is 1037. Why it is why I think I multiplied everything. 40810 plus 643100. I get here 804450 is the total overhead cost. What is the profit per unit of a jazz guitar using the current basis for charging overhead rate? So first you get the OAR, overhead absorption rate. Now overheads are absorbed based on revenue. So it is not based on hours or the material cost and all. It is based on revenue. Okay, so let's calculate the OAR. Now, this is the revenue per unit, and the number of units are 5,000. This. So you have to calculate the total revenue. Okay, now what is the total revenue? Let's calculate. Overheads we have taken 804450 At one place now I will calculate total revenue. So let's multiply one by one. 620 into 5000. That will be 310,000 plus 700 into 6000. That is 42,000 plus 3000 into 450, which is 1350000. You add all three and you get here 8650,000. Okay, so we get the total revenue as 8650,000. Now you have to get the cost per revenue because that is what the question has asked you. So you will have 804450 divided by 8650,000. So that is 0.093 per revenue. Now we just have to find for jazz, right? But first get the total overhead cost for jazz and then you divide it by the number of units of jazz to get the cost per unit. Okay, so total overhead cost for jazz. So total overhead cost for jazz will be 0.093 multiplied by the revenue of jazz. Total revenue of jazz is 310,000. Now please multiply it and we get here. Wait, what is the question asking you? Profit per unit of jazz. So wait, I just need to multiply with the number of units. I don't need total overhead cost. The question is only asking you profit per unit. So profit per unit will be equal to, what is the selling price? 620 and variable cost is 370 and less overhead cost 0.093. Now instead of multiplying with the total revenue, I just multiply with revenue per unit because everything we are calculating per unit, right? So revenue per unit is 620. How much do you get here? 620 multiplied by 0.093, right? Plus 370 plus 620. No, not 620 minus 620. So my profit is 192.34. Okay, again I repeat what I did. See here I got my overhead per revenue. Now if I multiply with total revenue, I'll get total overhead. But I need the profit per unit. So what I did, I just multiplied with revenue per unit. So everything is per unit only. So I get my answer. 192.34, your first answer is correct. Second, using activity based costing, what is the machine setup cost for a rock guitar? So get the, first you will get the cost per cost driver. So get cost per cost driver. Okay, what is the machine setup cost total? Machine setup cost is 120540 and the number of machine setups per batch is given to you. And the number of components are produced and sold are 5000 and production batch size is 100. So the number of batches here are 50. Here the number of batches are 6000 divided by 150, 40. And here the number of batches are 3000 divided by 215. So we have 15, 20 and 40 is the total number of batches, right? But though I don't require it because here the question says machine setup is based on number of machine setups. So it will be 12540 divided by the number of machine setups. Number of machine setups are 3, 5 and 4. 9 plus 5, 3, 12, right? 12. And no, but then I would need to multiply with the batch because it is per batch. So in order to get total number of setups, I need to do the multiplication. Okay, so I will do it here. 3 into 50 plus 3 into 50, 5 into 40 and 4 into 15. because only then I will get the total cost per cost driver. So that will be 150 plus 200 plus 60, 410. 120540 divided by 410. I get here 294 per setup. 294 per setup. Now we just need for rock guitar. Rock guitar requires how many setups? It requires 40 into 5, 200 setups, right? So what is the cost for a rock guitar? For a rock guitar, it is 294 multiplied by 200 divided by the number of units. Number of units are 6000, right? So that will be 294 multiplied by 200 is the total setup cost for rock guitar. Divide by the number of units of rock guitar because I just need for one rock guitar. So divided by 6000 gives me 9.8. So my answer here is 9.8 per rock guitar. Clear? Okay, let's go to the next one. So using activity based costing, what is the cost of component processing for a classic guitar? Just the same way like we did for setups. Component processing is 643 100 and divided by what is the cost driver given here? Processing time in hours. And it says processing time per unit is 4, 5 and 3. So what is the total processing time? 4 into 5. 4 into 5000, 20,000 total processing time, right? One unit take 4 hours, 5000 units will take 20,000 hours. Likewise 30,000 here, and likewise here 3 into 3, 9,000 hours. So total is 30 plus 50, 50, 59,000. Okay, so it will be per hour cost will be 643 100 divided by 643 100 divided by 59,000. So per hour cost is 10.9 per hour. Now for a classic guitar we require, okay, so again the same we get the total overhead cost divided by the number of units. Total overhead cost will be total classic guitar requires 30,000 hours total. Or you can simply multiply with 5 also you can get it because ultimately what you're doing multiplying by 30 divided by 6,000. So divided by 6,000. No, sorry, classic guitar is 9,000 divided by 3,000, you will get 3 only, right? So multiply with 3. So per unit of classic guitar would need 10.9 multiplied by 1 unit requires 3 hours. So that will be 10.9 multiplied by 3, 32.7. So my answer is A, 32.7 per guitar. Okay, clear? Now let's go to the fourth one and the fifth one. Normal, simple, easy theory ones. So was this a difficult question? No. Once you have your concepts clear, you will never be stuck anywhere. For these 10 different topics are the 10 major topics of the syllabus that we covered and which are frequently tested for section B. And all past paper questions we've done. Okay, that means no, you've got used to doing, you have gotten an exposure to do the questions that have been asked in the past. Okay, let's do this here. Which of the following statements, concerning the advantages of ABC as opposed to traditional costing are correct? Okay, let's see which is more correct. All overhead cost will be accurately linked with the measurable cost driver, which will facilitate the control of all overhead cost. Okay, it's a doubtful point for me. Let me go to the second one. Costing will be more accurate when overheads are a smaller proportion. No, it is more accurate when overheads are a larger proportion. Short-term decision making will be more meaningful because all fixed production overhead are included in the calculations. No, that is also included in ABC. So that's not really a relevant point here. Okay, so that's not a relevant point here. So I will also cancel this off. Now let's go to the next one. Costing will be more accurate as it recognizes that activities are consumed at different rates by different products. This becomes more sensible, but let me take the first one again because I am not satisfied with this. All overhead costs will be accurately linked with the measurable cost driver. Uh, this term is something that is very, very confusing. You know why? Because with ABC also we have our judgments involved, right? It's a selection that we do of the cost drivers. What if your cost driver is not very accurate? So yeah, this point then gets me wrong. In your answers, the confusing points will only be wrong for one word. Remember it always. So when I do a question, I look for that word which can give me a correct answer, which can give me a wrong answer. This was more of an obvious correct, so I was more confident for it. Okay, the finance director is pleased with the results of the ABC analysis of guitar and is keen to extend the use of ABC to other divisions in the company also. Now, one such division is electronic keyboards manufacturing has begun to introduce ABC and has identified some relevant activities and cost drivers match the appropriate cost to the activities. Very good. Material handling. Always when I do this question, I will look at activities and accordingly I will look for the best cost driver. Material handling, something in material will give me the correct cost driver. So I have material movements. I would like to place it here. Okay. Customer service. Number of service requests is more accurate here. Purchase orders, machine hours, or number of warranties handled. Warranties. Warranties is also on customer service now because people will call me for that. Number of service requests. Wait, I'm confused, so I'll look for the third one. IT support. IT support will have service request. No other looks appropriate. Na? Warranty will not go here. Machine hours will not go here. Purchase orders will not go here. So if service request is going here, warranties will go to this one. Customer service. Because warranties is also relating to after sales service only. Procurement is for purchase orders. Maintenance is of machine hours. Yeah. Okay. So if you get confused, no, don't waste your brain here, there. Go to the next one. Things will automatically ease off. Now, I hope with this section B marathon, you guys are having all the confidence that you need for section A and B. Almost we have covered around 160, 170 questions here. Right, so that's like substantially. We are going to cover more for section C also. My plan is to cover 10 questions, 15 questions for section C, out of which 5 questions I'll give you recorded and 10 questions will cover in 2 sessions. Okay, as the dates have already been communicated to you. So now let's meet for section C marathon. In the meantime, please study well, study hard.